"You're reliable, Evan," Jade said, standing in the doorway of my living room with her gym bag still on her shoulder. "He's the spark. I don't see why I should have to shut one door just because you want a simple life." Hey friends, please like this video and leave a comment with your impressions. This will be a great help. Thank you. We never tire of reminding you, it's all thanks to you. She said it like she was explaining a reasonable budget choice. Calm, certain, like my role in her story had already been assigned, and I was the only one who hadn't read the script. We were in Sacramento, the kind of place where the weeks blur into commutes and heat, and the river looking peaceful while everybody's tired. My townhouse sat in a quiet pocket not far from the medical center, 2 stories, small backyard, 1 lemon tree that never produced anything worth eating. It wasn't fancy. It was paid for with years of overtime and not buying things just to post them. I'm an ICU respiratory therapist. I work 12-hour shifts where alarms don't care about your feelings. I've watched families fall apart in hospital hallways over words they can't take back. When your job is keeping people breathing, you learn to keep your own breathing steady. You learn to speak in short sentences. You learn to do the next right step and not get pulled into noise. Jade moved into my place about a year ago. We'd been together just under 3 years total. She wasn't on my mortgage. She wasn't on my deed. She never asked to be. She called it your place even while she slowly filled it with her life. Shoes by the door, a row of supplements on the kitchen counter, a ring light tucked behind the couch. Little reminders that she was building a world where everything was content, even our private moments. She taught classes at a boutique fitness studio downtown, the kind with scented towels and a front desk that offered water with cucumber slices in it. She had a following. People posted photos with her like she was a celebrity. She fed off that energy. She'd come home buzzing, talking fast, telling me who flirted and who cried during cooldown and who needed her. At the start, I liked watching her light up. I was proud of her. I'd come home from a shift with my feet aching, and she'd throw her arms around my neck and tell me I was her calm place. She'd say I made her feel safe. That word again. Our early routine was simple in a way that felt grown-up. I'd do night shifts for a week, then days. On my days off, I'd handle groceries, yard work, laundry. She'd prep playlists, film little clips for her page, and plan classes. We'd eat dinner at my kitchen island and talk about normal things. We'd take slow walks along the American River on Sunday mornings, just to be outside before the heat got mean. I invested because she seemed like she was investing too. She'd rub my shoulders while I ate. She'd set out my scrubs at night if I looked exhausted. She'd detail her friends. "Evan is the most steady man I've ever met," like it meant something. Then the pattern shifted. It started with the late nights. Fitness instructors have odd hours, I knew that, but this wasn't just working late. This was disappearing late. Jade began saying she had studio meetings that started after the last class ended. She began taking collaboration dinners with people I never met. She'd come home after midnight smelling like perfume that wasn't hers, laughing at something on her phone before she even stepped inside. If I asked a question, she acted like the question itself was the problem. "Why are you interrogating me?" she'd say, eyes wide like I'd done something cruel. "I'm not interrogating you," I'd answer. "I'm trying to understand why you're gone." She'd sigh and toss her hair. "Because my career is moving. You don't move up by going home at 9. The studio became her whole identity. She didn't just teach. She performed. She took selfies between sets. She posted inspiration quotes over pictures of her own face. She started calling her clients my people. She started talking about vibes like they were oxygen. And slowly, she started treating my life like it was beneath her. It was small comments at first. "You're so serious," she'd say when I didn't laugh at a joke that wasn't funny. "You should loosen up," she'd say when I wanted a quiet night instead of going out to whatever event she'd been invited to. Once when I told her I'd had a tough shift and just wanted to sit on the couch, she said, "You carry the hospital home with you. It's heavy." What she meant was, my reality didn't photograph well. The disrespect got sharper when she began bringing her studio crowd around. She hosted a wellness hang at my place one Sunday afternoon without asking me. I came home from a morning shift to find my living room full of people in matching athleisure, music playing, my kitchen counters covered in cups and cut fruit like it was a staged scene. Jade kissed my cheek and whispered, "Don't be weird, just be supportive." I wasn't weird, I was tired. I was a man who had been suctioning airways and adjusting ventilators and watching monitors all night, and now my home felt like a set. One of her friends, a guy named Brock who always wore cologne like he was trying to announce himself, clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Bro, you're lucky. Jade's got that main character energy." Jade laughed like it was cute. I washed dishes while they took photos in my backyard. I listened to them talk about manifesting and high value like those were measurable things. I felt invisible in my own house. After they left, I told Jade calmly, "Please don't invite people here without asking." She stared at me like I'd insulted her. It was just a few people. "It was my house," I said. She rolled her eyes. "See, this is why they don't relax around you. You make everything feel like a rule book." That one stuck, not because it was clever, because she said it with confidence, like my boundaries were a flaw. The next month, she stopped asking for anything at all. She just did what she wanted and acted offended when I didn't applaud. That's when the money part started. I'm not a flashy person. I pay my bills. I keep a buffer. I don't swipe my card for attention. Jade, though, began treating money like a mood. She'd order expensive delivery because I deserve it, then forget to Venmo her share when I asked. She'd buy new workout sets constantly. She'd talk about how she needed to look premium to attract premium clients. I didn't mind spending on her sometimes. I liked taking care of the people I loved, but taking care of someone and being used by someone feel different in your body. One feels warm, the other feels like you're slowly being drained and told you should be grateful for the honor. We had a shared iPad on the kitchen counter. It was nothing secret. We used it for recipes, streaming shows, and controlling the smart thermostat. My bank app was logged in because I sometimes checked our bills on it while cooking. Jade knew that. We weren't hiding devices from each other. There was no snooping. It was just life. One afternoon, I came home early from a shift change. The sun was still high, making the kitchen too bright. I set my keys down and saw a bank alert pop up on the iPad screen. It wasn't subtle, big letters. Recurring charge, $189, RIVERSTONE Social Club. I stared at it like it was in a foreign language. I didn't belong to a social club. I didn't even like loud restaurants. Riverstone was a private lounge downtown I'd heard about from coworkers who joked about membership people. The place where people went to feel important, where the lighting made everyone look richer than they were. The charge was on my card, not a joint card, mine. It was labeled as recurring, which meant it wasn't a one-time mistake. It meant someone had set it up. I tapped the alert because it was my bank account on my device in my home in plain view. The app opened to the transaction details. There it was, monthly membership, same amount, same merchant for the last 2 months. My mouth went dry. I didn't need to investigate beyond that. I already knew the only person with easy access to my wallet and my card on file was Jade. I had added her as an authorized user months earlier for emergencies, the way couples do when they think they're building a shared life. She had her own card linked to my account. My chest felt tight, but my hands were steady. I took screenshots of the transaction history, not to punish her, to keep my mind from being bent later by denial. I sat at the island and waited for the garage door to open. Jade came in around 5 wearing bright sneakers and that fresh sweat smell from a class. She tossed her bag down and headed for the fridge. "Hey babe," she said, cheerful, "I'm starving." I didn't match her energy. I kept my voice quiet. "What is Riverstone Social Club?" She froze with the fridge door open. Then she did what she always did when cornered. She tried to turn the question into an offense. "Why are you looking at my stuff?" she snapped. "I'm not looking at your stuff," I said. "It's a recurring charge on my account. It popped up on the iPad." Her eyes flicked toward the counter. She knew it was visible. She shut the fridge slowly and leaned back like she was preparing an argument she'd already practiced. "It's networking," she said. "It's where the serious people go. Studio owners, sponsors, clients with real money." "It's on my card," I said. She made a small, impatient sound. "I was going to tell you." "When?" I asked. "When you were in a better mood," she said, like my mood was the obstacle, not her behavior. I nodded once. "Why is it recurring?" She shrugged like it was obvious, because that's how membership works. "And why did you put it on my account?" I asked. She looked at me, and something in her face shifted from defensive to cold, like she realized she didn't need to pretend anymore. "Because you're stable," she said. "You can handle it." I waited. Stable doesn't mean available. She stepped closer. Evan, you don't get it. This is how adults build. You invest, you open doors, you stop acting like every dollar is a moral issue. My dollars are my work, I said. They are my nights in the ICU. Don't talk to me like they're air. She sighed like I was exhausting her. Fine, you want the full truth. I didn't move, I just watched her. She lifted her chin and said it, the line that started all of this, delivered with that same calm certainty. You're reliable, she said. He's exciting. I don't see why I should have to choose. I asked, who is he? She hesitated just a beat, then said, Miles. I knew that name too, a guy who showed up in her posts sometimes, always just off camera, always tagged as creative director or brand partner. A man with an easy smile and expensive teeth, the kind of guy who calls himself an entrepreneur because it sounds better than unemployed. You're paying for a club membership to impress him, I said. Jade's eyes narrowed. It's not just him, it's the scene, it's the life I'm building. And I'm what? I asked. She didn't even flinch. You're the base, you're the one I can count on. Don't make that into something romantic. That's just reality. That's when the relationship ended in my mind, not because she admitted to cheating outright, because she admitted to using me as a foundation while she chased excitement and status like it was her right. I kept my voice low. Are you sleeping with him? She rolled her eyes. Don't get emotional. This is how grown relationships work. People have different needs. She didn't answer. That was answer enough. I nodded once like I was acknowledging a diagnosis. Okay. She blinked. Okay. I said, let me think. That line bought me quiet. It stopped her from turning it into a screaming match she could later call abuse or control. It gave me space to plan. Jade loved noise because noise gave her cover. Calm took the cover away. That night I slept in the guest room, not dramatically, just separately. I needed my head clear. I had a shift in the morning. At work I did my job. I checked vents. I adjusted settings. I kept people alive. And in the back of my mind I built a checklist the same way I do when I prepare a patient for transfer. Step by step. No panic. No improvising. When I got home that afternoon, Jade was on the couch scrolling her phone like nothing had happened. She looked up with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Are you done sulking? She asked. I didn't respond to the tone. I said, we need to talk about the living situation. She sat up straighter. What about it? This is my house, I said. You moved in. You're not on the mortgage. I'm ending the relationship, and we need a legal, clean move-out plan. Her face tightened. You can't just kick me out. I'm not doing anything illegal, I said. I'm doing it correctly. She laughed, sharp and dismissive. Of course you are, Mr. Hospital rules. I didn't argue. I walked to the kitchen counter, opened my laptop, and pulled up a local attorney's website I'd already bookmarked during my lunch break. I didn't hire someone yet. I just wanted the right process. California doesn't care that it's your house if someone has established residency. You do it right or you create a nightmare. I scheduled a consult for the next day. Then I drafted a short email to Jade and sent it to her personal email while she sat 10 feet away. In the email, I stated plainly that our romantic relationship was over. I stated that all communication going forward needed to be in writing. I stated that I would provide formal written notice for her to vacate, following legal requirements, and that we could arrange a supervised pickup and move-out schedule to keep it calm. Jade stared at her phone when the email arrived, then looked up at me like I'd betrayed her by being organized. You're really doing this, she said. Yes, I said. Her disbelief came first. She stood up and walked around the living room like she couldn't find the door to the reality she wanted. You're being dramatic, she said. It's just a club membership. I'll pay you back. It's not about the money, I said. It's about respect. Then her anger hit. Her voice rose. You're jealous, she said. You're boring and you know it, so you want to trap me in your little quiet world. I didn't react. I kept my voice steady. I'm not trapping you. I'm releasing you. She scoffed. You think you're going to find someone else who puts up with your schedule, who deals with your hospital mood swings. I let that pass. If you wrestle with someone who wants chaos, you'll get dirty and they'll enjoy it. I wasn't there to entertain her. The next morning I had the consult. The attorney asked the right questions. How long had she lived there? Did she pay rent? Was there any written agreement? Did she receive mail there? All the things that matter. I told the truth. Jade had lived there about a year. She contributed to groceries and sometimes utilities, but there was no formal rent agreement. She had mail delivered there. She had established residency. The attorney explained my options. The safest path was to serve proper written notice to terminate her tenancy and offer a clean move-out timeline with a written agreement. No changing locks, no shutting off utilities, no dumping her stuff, no pack your bags tonight fantasy. Real life is paperwork. That afternoon, I printed the notice and the proposed move-out agreement. Calm language, clear dates. I included an offer to cover a moving truck reservation cost if she moved out by the earlier date, not as a bribe, as a practical incentive to avoid dragging this into court. When I got home, I told Jade I had paperwork for her. She smirked like she thought it was a joke. But when she read it, her face changed. "That's insane," she said, voice shaking now. "You're treating me like a tenant." "You are a tenant," I said. "You live here." Her anger came back fast. "You can't do this to me. I have clients. I have a life. I can't just move because you're throwing a tantrum." "I'm not throwing anything," I said. "I'm ending a relationship and handling housing legally." She threw the papers onto the counter like they burned. "This is abusive. This is control." I didn't flinch. "It's the opposite. I'm putting it in writing so there's no confusion." That's when she switched into bargaining, like her brain ran through the available tools. "Okay," she said, voice softer. "Fine, maybe I got carried away. Maybe I shouldn't have put that membership on your account. I was stressed. I was trying to build something for us." "For us," I repeated, calm. "Yes," she said quickly. "For our future. You always said you wanted me to grow. This is growth." I looked at her. Growth doesn't require deception. Her eyes got wet, real tears finally. "So what, you're just done, after everything?" "Yes," I said. The victim narrative came next, right on schedule. "You're going to make me homeless," she said, wiping her face. "You're going to throw me out because you can't handle me being successful." "I'm giving you legal notice and an option to move out early with help," I said. "That's not homelessness, that's a transition." She stared at me like she hated that I wouldn't play the villain. Over the next few days, I did the quiet logistics. I documented the house the same way I document equipment settings, photos of my personal property, inventory of shared items, not because I wanted a fight, because I wanted to protect myself if she later claimed I broke something or stole something. I removed her as an authorized user from my credit card. I did it through the bank, confirmed by email, and saved the confirmation. I didn't cut her off from essentials. She had her own accounts. I just stopped her from using mine. I switched autopay off for the few subscriptions that were clearly hers. Her meal plan app, her studio software add-on, small things that had been riding on my account because it was easier. For shared utilities, I paid through the notice period and documented each payment so there was no claim that I left bills unpaid. I changed passwords for services in my name, not to sabotage her, but because access is access. When someone tells you they want both doors open, you close the door to your accounts. And I kept communication in writing. Every time she tried to pull me into a late-night conversation, I said one sentence. "Email me." It drove her crazy. A week after the notice, I got an email from someone I didn't recognize. It was from a studio manager at Jade's gym. The subject line was, "Can we talk like adults?" The message was polite but pointed. It said Jade was really struggling and that I should consider being more flexible because relationships require compromise. That was the flying monkey, not her mom, not her best friend, someone from her work stepping in as if they had authority over my home and my boundaries. I replied with 3 sentences. "Jade and I are handling housing through written agreements. Please don't contact me again about personal matters. Thank you." Then I blocked the email address. When Jade found out, she exploded. "You embarrassed me," she shouted, standing in my kitchen like it was her stage again. "You made me look unstable." "I didn't contact them," I said. "They contacted me." She pointed at me like a prosecutor. "You're trying to ruin my reputation." "I'm trying to end a relationship," I said, quietly. She stormed upstairs and slammed the door. I didn't follow. 2 days later, she tried a different tactic. She got sweet. She cooked dinner. She put on music from when we first dated. She sat close on the couch and rested her head on my shoulder like nothing had happened. "You miss me," she murmured. I didn't move away dramatically. I just sat still. "You don't have to do this," she said. "We could have something that works. You could be my home, and I could still be me." I stared at the dark TV screen. I don't want a works, I want respect. She lifted her head and looked at me, eyes searching for softness she could use. "So you're just going to throw me away?" I spoke quietly. Move-out plan is in writing. Her sweetness fell off like a mask. "You're heartless." I didn't answer. Move-out day came on a Tuesday morning. Daylight, the sun already sharp. I had arranged for my cousin Nate to be there as a witness. Nate is the kind of guy who doesn't talk much and doesn't escalate. He just stands there and makes it harder for someone to lie. Jade had signed the written move-out agreement the week before, after her attorney friend reviewed it and confirmed it was standard. She didn't sign because she was cooperative. She signed because she realized paperwork doesn't care about her feelings. A moving truck arrived at 9. Jade's friends showed up in a cluster, wearing those tight smiles people wear when they want drama but don't want to be caught wanting it. Jade came downstairs with her hair perfect, makeup done, like she was walking into a photo shoot. She looked at me and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I hope you're happy." I kept my voice low. "I hope your move goes smoothly." Her disbelief hit again when she realized I wasn't begging her to stay. She stood in the doorway of the living room and looked around like she expected the house to mourn her. Then the anger came. "You think you're so calm," she snapped. "You think being quiet makes you right." "I'm quiet because I'm done," I said. She scoffed. "You're going to regret this when you're alone." I didn't argue. Nate shifted slightly, a silent reminder that witnesses don't have to speak to matter. Jade carried boxes out. She did it fast, like speed could prove strength. Every few minutes she'd glance back at me, waiting for a reaction. I didn't give her one. Halfway through, she tried bargaining one last time, softer, almost pleading. "Evan," she said, voice low now, "we could start over. I can cancel the membership. I can block Miles. I can focus on us." I looked at her and felt only tired. "You said you didn't want to choose," I said. "I chose for you." Her eyes filled with tears. Her voice jumped to victim mode instantly. "You're doing this to punish me," she said. "You're taking everything." "I'm taking my peace," I said. "Your things are leaving with you, that's it." She stared at me like peace was an insult. When the last box was loaded, she stood by the truck and took a deep breath. Then she turned and made her final attempt, the one meant to stab. "You were never enough for me," she said, loud, like she wanted the neighbors to hear. "You're just a job and a house and a routine." I didn't flinch. I kept my face neutral. "Drive safe." She froze, like she couldn't believe I wouldn't even fight back. Then she climbed into the passenger seat of her friend's car and left. The house felt strange for a few days. Not lonely, just quiet in a new way, like a room after a storm when you can finally hear the small sounds again. I changed the spare key code, not to lock her out illegally, but because she was no longer authorized access. I filed the signed move-out agreement with my other documents. I forwarded any mail that arrived for her to the address she provided, because that's what adults do. I updated my emergency contact at work. I cleaned out the kitchen drawer where she kept her supplements. I put the iPad back on the counter and logged out of my bank app because I didn't need the reminder anymore. I went back to my shifts. I kept doing the work. I kept my breathing steady. A few months later, I had a dentist appointment on a Thursday afternoon. Routine cleaning, nothing dramatic. The waiting room smelled like mint and old magazines. A daytime place where nobody is trying to impress anyone, just people sitting quietly, staring at their phones, waiting to be called. I looked up from a pamphlet about gum health and saw Jade walk in. She wasn't dressed for the studio, no ring light energy, no performance smile, just a simple outfit and tired eyes. She checked in at the desk, then turned and spotted me. For a moment, she looked like she'd been hit with a memory. She hesitated, then walked over slowly, careful, like she didn't know what version of me she'd meet. "Evan," she said softly. "Hi," I said, polite, calm. She stood there, hands clasped, and I watched her search my face for something: anger, regret, longing, anything she could use to make the story about her again. "You look good," she said. "I'm doing well," I replied. Her mouth tightened slightly, like that wasn't the answer she wanted. She tried to smile. "I've been meaning to reach out." "I saw your emails," I said. I hadn't replied. I didn't need to say that part out loud. She swallowed. I didn't think you'd actually go through with it. You were always so steady." I nodded once. "That's why I went through with it." She looked down, then up again, and her voice softened into something almost human. "I'm sorry," she said, "for the way I talked to you, for using your accounts, for everything." I didn't punish her. I didn't comfort her. I kept it simple. "I hope you're okay," I said. Her eyes flicked, frustrated, because my kindness didn't come with access. Kindness without reentry is confusing to people who are used to reopening doors with a few soft words. "So that's it," she said. "You're just done." "Yes," I said, "I'm done." She nodded slowly, like she was trying to accept a fact she couldn't negotiate. Then the hygienist called my name. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and offered Jade a small, polite nod the way you would to any familiar face in a waiting room. As I walked back, I felt a quiet kind of relief, not because I'd won an encounter, because I could see clearly how far I'd come from being her base, her backup plan, her steady wallet. I used to think love meant absorbing disrespect and calling it patience. Now I know better. Peace costs something. You pay it up front with hard choices, or you pay it slowly with your dignity. Peace isn't cheap, but it's the best thing I ever chose to spend on. Thanks for watching. What would you have done in my place? Tell me in the comments.